Words of remembrance and praise still pouring in tonight following the death of local restaurateur Bob Roe. Roe died yesterday at the age of 85. He was committed to this community, sponsoring countless sporting events at every level in Sioux City, from Little League to the Sioux City Explorers. KTIV's Katie Koppel has more on the impact he had on kids, on businesses, and nonprofits in the community.
I just loved his smile, I just loved his attitude and his generosity.
He was just Bob. He wasn't out for the glory. He wasn't out for the hoop-de-ha. He just did this out of his heart, and that was Bob's whole life.
While the pizza and wings is what brought people together here at Bob Roe's Point After, it was Bob's philanthropy and love for the Siouxland community that people remember him for most.
So Bob Roe has been a huge supporter of the Boys and Girls Club from way back when it was just the Boys Club.
Bob Roe loved the Boys and Girls Clubs of Siouxland, supporting their annual auction for years.
The club was a perfect fit for him. Athletics and children were kind of the biggest passions of Bob, and we saw that firsthand.
It wasn't just youth sports. His name was synonymous with the NAIA national tournaments in Sioux City.
For somebody to do 26 years of basketball, 16 years of volleyball, softball tournament when we were here, baseball tournament when it was here, you name it, Bob Roe's name was on it.
GPAC Commissioner Corey Westra witnessed Bob's love for the game firsthand.
He was not a spotlight guy. He would come to the games at the tournament. In his later years, he would sit up top, away from everybody, but you'd walk by, grab his arm, "Hi Bob, how you doing?" And he'd always have a great smile.
Bob opened his restaurant to NAIA teams from across the country.
I can remember so many times we would talk to teams coming to Sioux City and they would say, "Well, I've been to Bob Roe's."
At Bob Roe's Point After, the walls are filled with photos, jerseys, and other memorabilia from sports teams near and far. And a few famous faces, too.
There's that photo of Woody Harrelson behind the bar. There's President Obama. I mean, the who's who has went through there, and it's all because of the place that he really built.
Bob Roe's Point After sits blocks away from Morningside University, where Bob Roe graduated in 1963.
It's a place to gather, and it's a place where everyone is friends. I mean, it's so cliche, right? From Cheers, but it's very much so where people know your name and you're all friends.
A friend to all, Bob Roe's love and support for the Siouxland community will be felt for decades to come.
Honestly, I'm not sure that the Boys and Girls Clubs would be here in Siouxland if it wasn't for Bob Roe and the lasting legacy that he has left.
We're going to miss the guy, and we're going to miss just who he was and the legacy that he left in Sioux City.
Bob was the icon. Bob was the city. Bob was community, and he showed it in every way that he could.
Reporting at Bob.
That's Katie Koppel reporting. If you'd like to share your memories of Bob Roe, we have a special page set up for family, friends, and former customers. There's a link right now inside this story. It's at our website, ktiv.com.